Hey, Mike. Why is the United States better than Canada?
I don't know.
We have way nicer neighbors. Producer!
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Greinberg and bigz. I am bigz. He is Schultzy. Mike Greinberg has been murdered, wrapped in a tarp, and stuffed in the trunk of a car, driven out to some frozen lake in Nineveh, and weighted down with cinder blocks and dropped into the abyss. But he should be back next week. All right. We are talking about early. Houdini had it easier. We are talking about early, middle, and late round targets at running back to avoid. In the last two episodes, we talked about quarterbacks, we talked about wide receivers, and so now it's running backs. Thank you for watching. You're watching the Fantasy Fest with Greinberg and bigz and Schultzy on the Fantasy Football Advice Network on YouTube, or just a link from FSAN, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Sorry about my voice. I'm getting over COVID. I forgot to change my hat to make it look like it was a different day, and I only wear the same shirt every day. Okay, there we go. Now it feels right. You know, it's delicious, Schultzy.
Huh.
This watermelon mint sparkling water from Nixie.
I've never heard of that one. I've got
very refreshing.
Black cherry Waterloo.
Oh, those are nice. I got this at my local food coop. Cooperative. Well, I'm part owner. So it's no big deal. All right. Let's get to the content. All right. Choose one spotlight and okay. Show 64 early, middle, late round targets. No, these are avoids. Somebody copied and pasted. My early round avoid is De'Von Achane. But Brandon, he's the leader in fantasy points per game of all running backs. Yeah, and he's perfect in best ball, not in redraft. He's not somebody to build your team around, and he's going too early. He wasn't even the RB1 in terms of volume last year in the Miami offense. That was Raheem Mostert. There's nothing wrong with Mostert right now. Maybe we're waiting on Mostert to get injured, but hey, De'Von Achane doesn't have the physical profile to think that he can sustain a full season without getting injured himself. And Jalen Wright is right there in the background. He is the prototypical Mike McDaniel running back. If anything happens to Mostert or Achane, Jalen Wright is going to get his shot, and he's a great handcuff in later rounds, so don't take Achane. Mostert's available later. Now, could I be wrong? Yeah, of course. But if you draft somebody ahead of Achane and a league mate drafts Achane, they're not getting somebody else also that you are getting, and so you're going to win anyway.
I feel that. I'm willing to take some shots on him. I'm not going to go overexposed, but I want to have some shares just because of that. I mean, the league winning potential is like cliche as it is. I mean, it's totally there with him. So I want to make sure I have some shares.
Sure. And the thing is that last year he was hurt at the beginning of the season, which made him available late as a league winner. But this year he's not hurt to start the season. So what happens if he gets hurt in the middle and he's not back and ready at the end of the year? So the likelihood of him getting hurt is too high for me to take a chance on. The likelihood of Mostert getting hurt is probably equal to Achane, but Mostert has the volume and he's available later. So that's we can quibble, and that's what this show is for quibbling. So if you have a quibble, put it in the comments.
Mostert seems to be the more trusted like red zone guy too.
Yeah, because he's a bigger guy. He can handle. I can't say he can handle. He did spend 8 years of potential on the injured list. But yeah, I mean, he's like Achane is more of a specialty, even though his fantasy points per game numbers are elite. They're maybe second to Keaton Mitchell or just ahead of Keaton Mitchell. And then you got like J.K. Like there are some guys who they can score you 25 points per game, but it's only going to be in a few games per year. So you're better off with them in best ball, and they don't have the same floor as the guys that you want to be drafting at the running back position in the early rounds in your ESPN redrafts. All right, my middle round avoid, and this is kind of a different play in Dynasty, and that's Carolina running back Jonathan Brooks. Now, consensus says that Jonathan Brooks was essentially the most talented running back of the rookie class. Some people would have said, and maybe even this guy on this show, that if it wasn't for the injury, Jonathan Brooks would have been his RB1. Which isn't necessarily true based on draft capital, or without considering draft capital. Braylon Allen is still my RB1 of the class. But Jonathan Brooks, talent-wise, would have been the RB1 based on draft capital and talent without the injury. Anyway, he's hurt now. He's likely not going to start the season. Chuba Hubbard, who is also not the answer, by the way, is going to be starting. So you're basically waiting on Jonathan Brooks. The other guy, and I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to say two guys that are middle round avoids. The other one is Tony Pollard. So avoid Jonathan Brooks or Tony Pollard. And here's the reason why. Other guys who are available in the same rounds as Jonathan Brooks, who's not going to start the season, so what good does that do you? And Tony Pollard, who is not very good. So, and he's also got Tyjae Spears there. So what good is that going to do you? Raheem Mostert is available. Blake Corum is available. And Tyjae Spears is available. So if you're going to be looking for a high floor, Raheem Mostert, and not Tony Pollard or Jonathan Brooks. If you're going to be looking for somebody who potentially through the course of the season is going to take over as RB1 in the room, Blake Corum is right there, and he's right on the precipice of just saying, get out of the way, Kyron Williams, this job is mine. If you're looking for like high upside and high points per game, Tyjae Spears is right there. Why go for Tony Pollard, who has a history of inefficiency, or Jonathan Brooks, who's not going to start the season? So those are three guys that are going to be there, Mostert, Corum, Spears, at the same point that you're taking Jonathan Brooks, who's not going to start the season, or Tony Pollard, who's not good. So why?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You mentioned Brooks in Dynasty, and I love him there too. But it is dicier in redraft, like you said. I think originally people thought he'd be ready for the season, but now that he's not going to be, Chuba Hubbard's going to be a problem. And there's no reason for the Bucs to like rush him back or to just give him a heavy workload, right? Or I'm sorry, the Panthers. There's no reason for them to just give him a heavy workload from the start. So, yeah, I'm not really looking into this for redraft.
And they did a lot of problems on the offensive line last year. We don't necessarily know that they have addressed those. I'm a heavy investor in Bryce Young and Deontay Johnson this season because of the presence of Dave Canales, also Jatavian Sanders. But there's a lot of hope behind that investment. And if they show in the first 4 weeks of the season before Jonathan Brooks comes back that they didn't solve their offensive line problems and they're going to be a garbage offense again anyway, then, I mean, as good as Jonathan Brooks is, he's not going to do you a whole lot of good anyway. So don't spend a middle round draft pick on him just so that you can wait. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, there's no reason to do it.
All right. So are you guys ready to level up your fantasy sports game? I sure am. Join the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, your go-to for top-notch fantasy and sports gaming insights. Skip the noise of Twitter and Reddit. Enjoy genuine sports talk without bots or ads. Dive into high-quality discussions and elevate fantasy experience. We cover all of your favorite sport, from football to basketball and baseball. Put in baseball. Whether you're a diehard fan or a casual player, there's something here for you. Explore polls, league classifieds, and curated content from our creators. You mean like the North one and the South one? No,
Yeah.
like which guys do you think are going to A, B, C, or D? Those kinds of polls and curated content from our creators. Articles, videos, podcasts, all in one place. Get expert advice, earn rewards, make an impact with your sports knowledge. Join our passionate community and unlock your fantasy sports potential. Visit the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and download our app to start winning. All right. That's fun.
I like winning.
I still want you to go clip the one that I did before and use that as a video ad read instead of doing it in the middle of every episode.
I'll talk to Mike.
Anyway, what do you mean talk to Mike? You're the producer. Tell him. Mike did this.
All right, I'll do it.
All right. Is there anybody in the late rounds that you're avoiding, Schultzy?
For running backs?
Yeah.
Let's see here. I don't know. You put me on the spot. Last week, Ramberg said Bucky Irving, and I fought back on that one. I like Bucky.
All right, you remember when he ran like a 6.9 at the combine? Nice.
I do remember that.
And for a guy with his BMI, that's just not doing it. Huh?
I'm going to say Zach Charbonnet.
Zach Charbonnet? Yeah.
Yep. I'm a big Kenneth Walker guy. I wasn't buying into the hype last year. Charbonnet was not good when he got a lot of touches. And so I don't see any reason for them to run it back with him. Kenneth Walker was hurt and was still better. And we've seen Kenneth be an absolute game wrecker, when he's rolling. So I don't see Charbonnet, rolling into town causing any problems.
No, and I talked before about the Ryan Grubbs offense in Seattle. If there's anything to take away from his usage of running backs last year, there was Dylan Johnson, and that was it. And Johnson was able to be a bell cow with lots of handoff production and receiving targets. Kenneth Walker can do that job. Now, if Walker completely goes down, Charbonnet is an okay handcuff just because of his receiving upside. He was really good as a receiving back at UCLA, but other than that, I agree. The Charbonnet shares in Dynasty that I tried to sell high, and I couldn't even do that. So, yeah. All right. So final spotlight. Late round aid. Sorry to say it, but Gus Bus, he did fill in admirably in the second third of the season last year with some spike weeks. If you had Aaron Jones go down or Josh Jacobs go down, etc. But Gus Bus is he's injury prone and he's old. The only piece of that Los Angeles Chargers running back room that I want is Kamani Vidal. Around the same time as you're drafting Gus Bus, you can get Rico Dowdle if you want somebody with the potential of completely taking over a room if Ezekiel Elliott shows himself to be inefficient or he gets hurt or he's too old. Rico Dowdle is right there on the precipice. Or if you want upside in the receiving game, and who doesn't at running back, am I right? Antonio Gibson is there to be the dump off outlet for rookie Drake May. I like the receiving upside with him. I feel like he's going to outscore Gus Bus on a per game basis, just based on those receptions in PPR, especially ESPN being a single point PPR. Also, I do want to shout out. There's the town in which I live and also grew up is called Davis. It's in Northern California, and I had a friend when I was growing up. His stepmother was my drama coach that got me into drama, and she was my English teacher. And he wound up going to Stanford and playing in the NFL for a long time. He played for the Vikings, the Chargers. He played in the Super Bowl for the Tennessee Titans. His name was Jason Fisk. He was an interior defensive lineman and had a real long career. He was from my hometown, and we went to the same school together, and I grew up with his stepbrothers. Anyway, he had a kid, and that kid, Tucker, went to Stanford to follow his dad. He was a defensive lineman at Stanford. Then he got drafted and switched to tight end for the Atlanta Falcons. And then the Falcons released him, and he just got picked up by the Los Angeles Chargers, his dad's former team, and switched to fullback. So anybody who watched the Chargers-Rams preseason game saw Tucker Fisk, number 44, come out and open up huge holes for Kimani Vidal. I love Kimani Vidal. I'm not drafting Gus Bus. Vidal is still there when Gus Bus is grabs. So is J.K. Dobbins, who is he going to come back? Is he? I mean, ACL and Achilles, like coming back from so many injuries. Kamal is the guy, and my homeboy Tucker Fisk is going to be opening up huge holes, gashing the defensive line for him, and I'm all excited about that. So shout out Tucker Fisk.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm with you on Vidal, man. I loved the report after the first preseason game about how he might not make the roster. I was like, get out of here with Isaiah Spiller who's going to beat this guy out.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Like,
right.
Go there. And then week 2 comes around and Vidal pops off and everybody's like, oh, he's good again.
Right. I followed the Chargers beat writer Daniel Popper because I am at the Player Profiler news desk. I am in charge of half of the AFC West. I guess all of the AFC West now with the resignation or the murder of Mike. Resignation. But I read Daniel Popper all the time, and he is just like bobbing up and down in the open ocean. Just he doesn't know like what's coming or going, what's up, what's down.
He spent a hot minute as a Jags beat, so yeah. I
did he?
Yeah.
Hopefully in the Urban Meyer years.
So yeah, give me Vidal. I don't buy any of that crap. We've talked so many times about attacking running backs tied to running quarterbacks. So why do you think Gus Edwards was good?
Right.
Like, so yeah, I'm out on him. Give me Kimani for sure.
Yay! We are in agreement. All right, let's not go to 20 minutes like Mike did before his before he got put on assignment. Thank you for watching the Fantasy Forecast with Greinberg and Biggs. This has been the Schultzy takeover for the last 3 episodes. Mike will be back. He wasn't murdered. That's just a joke, you guys. He wasn't murdered.
So all those times you said murder your friends, I wasn't supposed to.
I think at the end of that I said in fantasy football.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Anyway, Mike will be back with us when we what are we doing? Oh, next week is bold predictions. Boom, our big flag plants episodes. So you want to stay tuned for that. And if you go and you sign up for a pro account on Fantasy Sports Advice Network, just $5 a month or $50 per year, you will be automatically qualified to get into our jersey leagues, and you won't miss a thing with our content because that'll be posted there, and you don't have to go anywhere else and all of that stuff. My voice is dying. I hope you win.
I hope you win.